Cinematic universes are pretty popular among film studios as ways to try and milk a franchise for more money. Luckily, we're getting to the point now where there have been enough failed cinematic universes for companies to start realizing that it's not just the cinematic universe format that made the MCU successful. Fox themselves had somewhat of a cinematic universe going with the X-Men franchise, having a series of X-Men films as well as spin-offs for Wolverine, Deadpool, and the New Mutants being in the same continuity. There were also more planned but scrapped spin-offs that would have made it feel more like a cinematic universe, like Gambit, Magneto, Storm, X-23, X-Force, and more, but at one point they planned on making a cinematic universe by crossing the X-Men over with other Marvel characters. It's a common misconception that Fox held the film rights to Daredevil and the Fantastic Four. They just distributed those movies and had some creative control over them. Constantine Films has the movie rights for the Fantastic Four, and New Regency Productions had the film rights for Daredevil before they reverted back to Marvel. But nonetheless, having worked with these companies, Fox planned to cross all of these characters over. There were various plans to do this over the years, but it never worked out. This is the story of those plans. Keep in mind this video is a mix of speculation and actual reported stuff, so do your own research before quoting this video. The year was 2010. Over the past few years, Marvel had had success with their MCU movies, though keep in mind the Avengers had not come out yet and convinced everyone to try and make cinematic universes. Zack Stentz and Ashley Edward Miller, the writers of X-Men First Class, wrote a script for Fox that was essentially an X-Men Fantastic Four Daredevil crossover movie that would have also apparently heavily featured Deadpool. We don't know much about the plot, but scoopers say that it would have been a Civil War-inspired movie where the Human Torch would blow a hole in Manhattan while fighting Molecule Man, and this would cause the Superhero Registration Act. Apparently, different heroes would be on different sides and would fight. They even added a mid-credit scene setting up sequel crossovers based on the Skrull invasion arc. This wouldn't have been the Ben Affleck Daredevil or the 2000s Fantastic Four though. Both franchises were dead at this point, and Fox was looking to reboot them for this cinematic universe, while also including Deadpool because they were already planning Deadpool movies at this point. From what I can tell, this was not supposed to introduce these new versions of the characters though. It's not unheard of, especially when planning a franchise, to write a movie that you plan to make down the line before working on the movies coming out before it, so that you have a clearer vision of the future to match them up with. Matthew Vaughn did the same thing when he wrote his X-Men Days of Future Past script, even though he planned on doing Apocalypse first. They planned on doing solo reboots of the Fantastic Four and Daredevil as well as maybe a Deadpool solo movie before producing this script. But a few things ended up stopping this particular movie from being produced. New Regency Productions hadn't used Daredevil or his associated characters since Elektra in 2005, which meant if they didn't start filming a new Daredevil-related movie by the end of 2012, the film rights for Daredevil would revert back to Marvel. David Slade signed on to direct a Daredevil reboot movie in 2011, but left the project in August of 2012 due to scheduling conflicts. Fox eventually gave up on trying to find a last-minute replacement and the rights reverted back to Marvel. This meant the script would need major rewrites to be produced. On top of this, Stentz and Miller also wrote a Fantastic Four reboot script for Fox, but when Josh Trank signed on to direct the movie, he tossed out their script and hired their own writers. This meant that the script would also need to be rewritten to accommodate the differences between Stentz and Miller's version of the Fantastic Four and Trank's Fantastic Four. But Fox was determined to not let this stop them, especially after the success of both X-Men First Class and The Avengers. They had some new ideas. This can be seen in a promotional image released in 2015 with the cast of Days of Future Past and Josh Trank's Fantastic Four. Also in the photo are Ryan Reynolds, who was probably filming Deadpool at the time, and Channing Tatum. A lot of people thought that this was somewhat of a hint towards an X-Men and Fantastic Four crossover movie, and I think this is true. A Gambit movie had been in consideration for a long time, but it wasn't until after the Daredevil reboot was cancelled that it started moving in the right direction and getting writers and directors attached. This also led to Channing Tatum, who had been in consideration for the role for a long time, being sort of officially cast as Gambit for a Gambit movie. I think that Fox, after the cancellation of the Daredevil reboot, realized that Gambit could work as kind of an X-Men equivalent of Daredevil. So they greenlit the Gambit movie and cast Gambit with the intention of Gambit replacing Daredevil in their cinematic universe and appearing in their X-Men Fantastic Four crossover movie instead. Warren Ellis was tasked with writing a treatment for a new Fantastic Four X-Men crossover movie, indicating the plot was not only factoring in these changes, but would be quite different, likely due to Marvel's Captain America Civil War movie having a very similar premise to their original plans. On top of all this, concept art from Deadpool 2 revealed that at one point early in development, the Fantastic Four from Josh Trank's movie were planned to appear. After the flop of the Fantastic Four 2015, however, plans for a sequel, a crossover, and an appearance in Deadpool 2 were all cancelled. As one last side note, giving credence to the theory that Gambit was greenlit as a Daredevil replacement is that shortly after the Fantastic Four flopped, Fox started losing interest in the movie and slashed its budget. So there you have it. The story of Fox's scrapped X-Men Fantastic Four crossover have their own cinematic universe. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, let me know in the comments what you thought of the Fox movies, and if you would have liked to see these movies come to fruition. That's all I have for you today, so don't forget to subscribe for daily videos on the franchises you love, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.